Hello and welcome to.
Hello.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to this week's Agency Affairs with me, Phil Jones, and say my partner in crime, and the person who follows me around everywhere.
And the Ashdown from Ashdown Jones comes first for a reason. So we're going to whip through these today very quickly because we've got a ton of stuff to do. Sorry, Isaac.
Whip through these.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one.
Hang on. Do we need to explain what it is, or do we
Well,
explain? Are we explaining
we're going to just
Tell them about your microphones.
No, we're not going to talk about
How
microphones.
do we always talk about the microphones?
So we were going to ramble
The
on
size of our
the
microphones.
news reports over last week in the property industry. That's it. Mainly from Estate Agent Today and Property Industry Eye, who seem to be just reporting on the same stuff these days.
Well, there's probably not much news out there. You need to do something controversial again.
To review and doing lockdown. Yeah. So the first one is, this is quite an interesting one, it's more of a marketing one. I know George from Daniel Cobb, so hello George if you're watching, and you've had a really innovative idea. He does have a lot of innovative ideas. In fact, he gave me some postcards a few years ago that he'd created, which looked really good, it was all about Daniel Cobb and how they were different, and how, for example, you can choose a home that looks right on the internet, but you don't know whether it's going to fit a pram in the hall and really stand in the hall. It was that kind of thing. They're really nice. We've got some of them still in the office, so I really like those. And it's probably about 8 years ago now. So you've always been very innovative, and I appreciate that, George. So the innovation he's come out with is to take away the for sale and to let wording on the boards and to have something different instead. This is an example of his wording.
Yeah, there are quite a few companies that do that.
That's true. He's not the first, but I think some of these phrases are first. Read out some.
Yeah, we'll read them out first. So the new board messages include "I'm yours" instead of "sold." "Let's do this," I guess, instead of
For sale.
"sale." Yeah. "This is the one." "Your next home?" Question mark. "Buy me quick." "Let's get going."
One of his lets is to let.
"Let the good times roll."
Yeah.
"Just right." "Own it." "Rent me quick." Have you got that sign?
Rent me quick.
Move on. "One happy home." "I got owned."
So that's the sold one.
"We've got more."
Yeah.
"Let there be love." "I got let."
Interesting.
My challenge with them, and them all for being different, I think this is trying to. I mean, I like the ones that are sold, but what I don't particularly like are the confusing ones that are trying to take over for sale. So, for example, "Let's do this."
It's too a bit confusing.
Yeah, and I'm including me in this statement. The general public are pretty thick, and they need things hand on a plate, and it needs to be clear. So any question mark is just unnecessary, I think. But yeah.
But we're all for differentiation. It's got to be differentiation for the right reasons. I think that's what we're trying to say. So why are you standing out and how? And is it you standing out for a gimmick or are you standing out for something that actually makes a difference? So for example, and we're not necessarily pitting ourselves against you. I know it's not a competition. Our boards are different because they've got a picture of the house on the board. So we can substantiate that with the vendor. We can say the reason we use the house on the board is because we want to sell your house and not us as an agency. And then they're more likely to go ahead and choose that board or have a board at all rather than not have a board. So that's the reason we give it to a vendor, and it's got a business reason behind it, whereas this is literally just differentiation. That's the way I would see it. But then I suppose the argument goes that then the people who enjoy the boards being different are more your kind of clients, yeah. So a bit more quirky maybe.
Yeah, and I guess the purpose of it is to attract clients, it's not to sell the house.
Yeah.
So I get that.
I think I just like anybody trying something a bit different.
Yeah, so do I, but I'm quite I like the thing, the wording and particulars to be quite simple, in the sense that I like it to say for sale and then sold. I don't know why.
Use a message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on. In fact, actually, Claire, if you're watching this, Claire Maloney, she had this idea from Pink and Black in Oxford, where they had like "you've missed it" and things like that.
A few of our members do it.
Yeah, but this was what 15 years ago. It was a long, long time ago, and I think she was one of the first of her time, really. Let's move on to the next one, which is about that. Whoops, just twanged the microphone stand. The next one is that Google reviews game changer. Pretty sure that was worse. And that's by all agents. And the story here is that all agents have been a little bit of a, I think they're a bit of a white elephant, really, because most
Does anybody
vendors-
use them?
Well, agents have heard of them, but most vendors have never heard of them. And there's no reason for them to have heard of them.
Bet a lot of agents haven't heard of them.
I think most agents have heard of all agents, I think.
No.
No, anyway, so we know most vendors have never heard of them. In fact, if we went and asked our team right now, none of our team have heard of them, definitely not. So we've heard of them just because we've been in the industry for a long time, but I think that's not common. And so therefore, there's no point in having an external review system, we don't think, when you've got a perfectly good review system with, actually Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, but Google and Facebook. Are the big ones, yeah. So
and Google My Business. That's now quite front and centre, isn't it? If someone's googling estate agents in Windermere, then Google My Business will show the reviews straight away.
Yeah, was it all agents aren't, but I don't know exactly how they're going to try and integrate these two things. I think what they're doing is they're sending them to a dual page where you can put your review on both. So it might be a tick that says, would you also like to post this on Google? And then they'd have to be logged into their Google accounts. That's one way of doing it.
I wouldn't call it a game changer.
No, sorry. Is it still Mal McCallion that runs it? I don't know. Sorry if that's not email. Anyway, so he said we were going to wait till our first ever award ceremony next before releasing this exciting news, but it's just too good to wait.
Thank you.
Let's move on to something a bit less controversial, which is the housing market.
Isn't it?
Supply shortage for the 5th month in a row. So just some. This is Landmark Information Group's latest property trends report. So it's 5th consecutive month of low property supply levels. Listings are down by an average of 9% compared to 2019, and completions have peaked up 44% in September. But I think that's because of the stamp duty deadline. New property listings were down every month when compared to the same period in 2019, down 6% in July, 13% in August and 8% in September.
Wow.
Well, we noticed that, not necessarily those figures, but in August it probably was our lightest, wasn't it? In terms of that.
Yeah,
You struggled in August.
Yeah, and at the end of July really, so you can see that happening. We track the exact number of properties on the market every month from in total and from by each agent.
And the percentage over 500,000 as well.
Yeah, and you sent me this morning, and there's a dramatic. I mean, that 9% is laughable when you look at our figures. From October 2019, it was about 840, and now it's 280. 240.
It's down 600.
So that 9% is a
Well, that's on actual listings. It's just whether that's down on vals.
No, it was listings, wasn't it?
Oh, good listing, yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see A, if you track it, and B, if you do, what has happened. Because I looked at the figures this morning, and it's been a steady decline over the months. I think there was 2 months that it went up. Which would have been around March 20. It can't be March 20. That was pandemic.
It was the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah, there was a couple of months it went up, but since then it's been a steady decline down every month. And obviously, this summer the whole of the market got absolutely obliterated with buyers buying everything inside. So it's obviously going to be low, but a quarter of what it was in October 19 is either dangerous or it's a huge opportunity of what's coming.
There's not very much low stock either, low value stock, because when we, in October 19, I think it was 19% of the stock was over 500,000, now it's 33%. Now obviously there's a certain amount of rising inflation in that, but even taking that into account, there is a much bigger proportion of properties on the market over 500,000 than there is under. Than there was. It is listings, you're right. Okay, so there was just one, Simon Brown, who is the Chief Executive of Landmark Information Group, says, we are, however, seeing the demand for properties continuing to exceed supply. This market imbalance has the potential to lead to depressed sales, placing increasing pressure on property prices as sellers are able to command higher asking prices. So it's still saying it's a seller's market, which we're not seeing as much now. We're definitely seeing more of a balance coming back into the market. What I would say is it's actually a sign of a potentially catastrophic cash flow for us all next year. That is the biggest problem that we're facing, I think. And forget listings and valuations and all the rest of it. If you don't have stock that you can sell in the next 6 months' time, we're going to be all seeing a cash flow shortage, I think.
Yeah, I think in general interest rates will go up. Well, they have to go up. And at some point there's going to be a cash flow problem for a lot of different sectors. I mean, the government really gave out a hell of a lot of cash for no objective balance into the market. So they gave a lot of people, I think we got 50,000. We haven't spent it, we've invested it, but a lot of companies will have taken that 50,000 and spent it. So they put it into the market with no balancing factor, and therefore obviously everything's going to get inflated.
Well, it's also the same with furloughs, isn't it? We all got given all that furlough money, and therefore, well, where's the money that you were earning? And where's, you know, are you prepared? Do you have some cash reserves ready for next year? Because we've been kind of watching the market very carefully over the last few months, as we all have, and even we didn't anticipate such a massive drop when it came along, because it was absolutely off a cliff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So it's an interesting year, 2 years coming up. There'll be a lot of defaults on those loans, whether it's intentional or unintentional. There'll be a lot. There was figures came out last month where I think it was the highest number of businesses went under since the crash. Now, I mean, we arguably could say one of our businesses went under, but we just closed it.
Yeah.
So
we sold another.
And I don't know whether a lot of people will have dragged the businesses out that probably would have gone under anyway because they had furlough. And then furlough ends, and then think, right, we'll just close it down now. So I'm not sure. We'll be interested to see how that figure carries on. But
was it your dad was saying about the Chinese market, that the big Chinese property investor has gone bust with 330 billion on the balance sheet?
No, I don't know.
A massive Chinese investor, I can't remember what it's called now, but he says that could have a catastrophic effect on the markets, because 330 billion in one country. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out as well. We're not a doom and gloom mongering.
No, but it's important to note that cash will be king over the next 12, 18 months.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about buying investment properties, our suggestion would be to flip, don't keep.
Yeah.
In fact, we've got some really good friends that are in the property investment business, and that's exactly what they're doing now. They're flipping, not keeping, because anything that could depreciate in value, I don't want on our books. I want to make sure that we're constantly regenerating cash, and that is absolutely crucial. In fact, the last crash, it was Eric from...
I don't think there'll be a crash, by the way.
No, sorry, it wasn't. But in the last crash, Eric from... What's the heck's his name?
Northwood.
Yeah, Northwood Eric. What's his surname?
Eric.
Can't remember his surname,
See
sorry.
his face.
I know, because he's granddaughter. And he was saying, if you don't already do sales and lettings, you have to do both, because one is subscription and one is roller coaster. And that is really important to make sure you've got both kind of forms of income coming into the business. Now, we don't have lettings, but we do have Firewave, so that is our lettings department, if you like. So just make sure that you're spreading your risk a little bit, is what we would suggest. Anyway, moving on. So there's a claim, a portal called Move Streets, never heard of you, sorry, Move Streets. Agents' photos misleading buyers over the true size of properties. Yeah, we're okay. So this is where it says, the quality of the property that viewers are seeing in person is less impressive than the photographs lead them to believe. Now, this article leads with the size of the properties, and we don't advocate wide-angle lenses for this reason, actually. What we do is, we do style homes, and we do make sure that they're well lit. We don't try and mislead, we're just trying to show them the best possible light.
Yeah, it's a non-story for me, I'm not really bothered.
Well, it's a Tinder story, isn't it? If you're not going to take a photograph of yourself first thing in the morning with no makeup on and put it on Tinder, you're going to make sure that you look your absolute best. And if somebody wants to call you catfish, then...
yeah, if buyers want to come in and say it does not look how it looks online, well...
Nor does Hannah.
It's alright, that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. 71% have been disappointed. Not with my Tinder profile.
Yeah, it's higher than that. I don't think that's true either, 71%.
Well, it's Move Streets as it is.
Yeah, they've only got 7 viewers. Move Street.
Spice of Heart. This is the last story of the day, and Isaac was very excited about this. Spice of Heart relaunches. Don't know why it's relaunched its staff incentive scheme, and it's sending its top performers to Morzine on an all-expenses paid holiday. And Isaac's reaction was, "Well, Bulgaria's cheap."
The only thing I don't like about this, and sorry to start with, don't like, because the actual concept is good, but I don't like how it's top performers, because where's the line? Who supports that top performer? And they're not classed as a top performer. So I in my
It's very
opinion,
fee earners, isn't it?
it's
meant to be fee
everyone
earner.
or no one.
Yeah. What if you've got an amazing receptionist that isn't a fee earner?
Yeah.
Which we have.
So that's what I like about it. But I really like the concept. I think when we first opened, Matt Giggs took his team that year to New York around Christmas time, didn't he? And that was something I always thought was a good idea. We tried to take him on a cruise, and then the pandemic hit, and then
We did take them all to Centre Parks. We've taken them to Centre Parks twice.
I've been twice.
Well, once was for one day, and then once was for a long weekend.
Yeah.
And we do lots of
great,
things.
yeah.
We take them to the races, and we've had lots of things that we do.
Yeah, arguably you could throw this back at me with cruises, but skiing, not everybody likes skiing.
That is true, but if you're a top performer, you probably do. You're probably an alpha male, aren't you?
I don't like skiing.
I do. They have been to Vegas, Texas, which is not the Texas one.
Vegas is more.
Abu
Texas
Dhabi,
is cool as well.
Austria, Miami, Bangkok, Germany, and New York, and they still talk about it today. Yeah, but I bet receptionists don't.
Yeah. Interesting
It
point.
breeds I'm performing and you're not performing culture. That was my problem with it. So if we're going to incentivise our team, we're not going to incentivise actually. What we're going to do is reward our team. We reward everybody or nobody, and that's pretty much our rule. And that's it. That's what we've got to say about the stories of the past week. Phil's got a vowel now in the absolute chucking down rain, haven't you?
I have. Yeah, it's only a casual one. Sorry.
Yeah, but I thought I had a casual one and I didn't, and I lost it to somebody else. So be aware of that.
Thanks for that, boss.
Corinne's.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. I thought it was a casual cup of tea, but no, it was an actual interview, and I lost the listing. I'm over it now.
Amateur. That's why.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next Agency Effect.
She's not a top performer.